You just give me 40 years. 40 years. Well, guess what? So,
Saying pull the trigger that killed your son now masturbates to memory.
Courtrooms are often places of order and solemnity. Justice is delivered and sentences are pronounced in the formal and controlled environment. However, in some rare and dramatic cases, sentencing hearings take a shocking turn. It leaves judges, lawyers, and onlookers stunned by the unexpected behavior of defendants. So exactly how wild can a sentence hearing get? Ranked at number 5 is Ricky Hand's courtroom incident in 2016. It's widely regarded as one of the most disturbing outbursts during a sentencing.
An Ohio man not too happy after being sentenced to 40 years in prison for armed robbery. So he took it out on his attorneys.
Hand is a Springfield, Ohio resident. He was being sentenced for a series of armed robberies and other crimes. Hand had been found guilty of 14 break-ins and robberies in which he used weapons to intimidate victims. He was equipped with a gun and knife. Hand was facing up to 52 years in prison for these offenses.
911 emergency.
Yeah, this is John's drive-through, West Main Street. A guy just tried to rob me and I shot him. He ran out the back door.
Okay, is he injured?
I think I hit him.
The charges? Robbery and breaking and entering.
I did try to rob John's drive-through. He got shot 3 times. I did the crime, I ain't gonna lie. I just wanted to live.
During the sentencing, the judge pronounced a 40-year prison term. Hand became visibly angry, shouting that such a sentence was effectively a life sentence. He retrieved plastic bottles filled with feces and urine. It had been hidden in his pants.
You just give me 40 years. Sir? Yes. You just gave me 40 years. Well, guess what? So,
He threw them at his lawyer and other individuals in the courtroom, creating chaos. This unexpected and violent outburst caught the courtroom off guard. Despite warnings, Hand had previously discussed bringing feces to the sentencing. The attack led to an immediate intervention from court deputies who subdued Hand. His actions resulted in additional charges of retaliation. At number 4, T.J. Lane's sentencing in 2012 for the Chardon High School shooting was one of the most shocking courtroom moments in recent history. It is particularly due to his complete lack of remorse. On February 27, 2012, Lane opened fire in the high school cafeteria. He killed 3 students named Russell King Jr., Demetrius Hewlin, and Danny Parmetor. Moreover, 2 other students were wounded. The incident sent shockwaves throughout the small community of Chardon, Ohio. Lane's subsequent behavior during his trial only intensified the pain for the victims' families.
Glances of your friends laying all over the place, there's blood, there's people screaming, everybody's running in different directions, and you're just trying to get out.
I saw a kid holding a gun pointing it towards a group of kids.
Do you remember the look on the gunman's face?
I never looked at his face, I just looked at the gun. I still can't think about it all because it's just so scary.
At his sentencing hearing, Lane's actions were chilling. He entered the courtroom wearing a white t-shirt on which he had scrawled the word killer in black marker. It is eerily reminiscent of the sweatshirt he wore during the shooting. This display of arrogance was just the beginning, as the families of his victims delivered emotional statements expressing their grief and loss. Lane remained indifferent. When it was his turn to speak, rather than offering an apology or showing any sign of regret, Lane made vulgar and offensive remarks directed at the grieving families.
Saying pull the trigger that killed your son now masturbates to memory.
He said, "This hand that pulled the trigger that killed your sons now masturbates to the memory. F all of you." He then flipped them all off with his middle finger. The courtroom was left in stunned silence. No one expected such callousness from Lane. His lack of regret was made worse by his bold and disrespectful attitude. T.J. Lane was sentenced to 3 life sentences without the possibility of parole. It was one for each of the 3 students who died. At number 3, the dramatic sentencing of former Ohio Judge Tracy Hunter in 2019 drew widespread attention. It is due to the way the events unfolded in court. Hunter was sentenced to 6 months in jail for improperly handling confidential court documents. It is related to her brother, who was a juvenile corrections officer. He had been facing disciplinary action after allegedly assaulting a youth at work. Hunter used her judicial influence to pass on internal documents to help him during the investigation. The courtroom became chaotic when Judge Patrick Dinkelacher upheld Hunter's sentence. Hunter kept refusing to comply with the arrest order. She went limp and forced court officers to physically drag her out of the courtroom.
You are to do 6 months in the Hamilton County Justice Center, credit 1 day. Mr. or Ms. Deputy can take her away.
A woman who seemed to run to Hunter's defense was quickly taken into custody. Meanwhile, Hunter fell limp in the arms of a deputy who ended up dragging the former juvenile court judge away from her outraged supporters.
Supporters of Hunter protested loudly. They believed the sentencing to be unjust and politically motivated. Hunter had long maintained her innocence and her defense. She argued that she had already suffered enough. Hunter lost her job and law license during the lengthy legal battles.
She lost peace of mind, not knowing when that day was going to come and she'd have to go to jail. That's a lot for one person to have.
Attempt was to intimidate me in any way. That has flat out failed. Okay? I will never, ever, ever bow to that type of pressure, veiled threats, vicious comments, lies about me or anything else.
Her supporters argued that the sentence was unfair and that she was being targeted due to her race and gender. Ranked at number 2, Keeson Wilkins' attempt to fake a heart attack during his sentencing in 2014 was a dramatic move aimed at delaying justice.
She never provided with you. Excuse me, hold on a second. Your Honor, excuse me for a second. I need some time.
We're going to take a break, ladies and gentlemen. If you'll please step out.
Wilkins was a repeat offender. He was being sentenced for armed robbery and was likely aware that he faced a lengthy prison term. During the proceedings, Wilkins suddenly collapsed in a theatrical manner. He was clutching his chest as if suffering from a heart attack. His goal was clear: to cause enough disruption in the courtroom to force a delay or a possible mistrial. However, this act was poorly executed and quickly seen through by the court. The judge showed little concern as the defendant lay on the ground, pretending to be in distress.
On your examination, do you have any concerns?
No concerns at all. You may need some water.
He had already dealt with several disruptive antics from Wilkins during the trial. Courtroom deputies and medical staff were called to evaluate Wilkins, and a nurse examined him on the spot. Despite his best efforts, the nurse found no signs of a legitimate medical emergency. One of the key moments that exposed the farcical nature of the heart attack was when an ammonia stick, commonly used to revive someone who's fainting, was placed under Wilkins' nose.
A remarkable change.
His exaggerated reaction to the stick showed that he was fully conscious and faking the incident. At this point, it became clear to everyone present that Wilkins was not suffering from any real health issue.
Mr. Wilkins, do you have any questions for this witness, sir? I'll take that as a no, sir. Thank you, sir. You may step down. Out by trained deputies who are medics. You've been checked out by a registered nurse as well as an emergency medical technician, all of whom indicate that there is nothing physically wrong with you, nor any reason why you couldn't continue here, sir.
The judge remained unfazed by the attempt. He continued to shuffle papers and proceed with the sentencing. He was eventually sentenced to 42 years in prison for his role in armed robbery. At the top of our list, Michael Marin's courtroom suicide in 2012 was one of the most shocking incidents in legal history. Marin was a former Wall Street trader and seasoned adventurer. He was convicted of arson after setting his $3.5 million mansion in Phoenix on fire. The prosecutors argued that financial ruin drove him to commit arson. He had been facing severe debt. It included a $17,250 monthly mortgage and a balloon payment of $2.3 million. He had only $50 left in his bank account. Unable to keep up with these overwhelming financial obligations, Marin allegedly set fire to his mansion in a desperate attempt to collect the insurance money. Video footage from the courtroom showed him discreetly swallowing a pill and drinking from a sports bottle. Minutes later, he collapsed and died. An autopsy later revealed that he had ingested cyanide. Marin had obtained it a year prior in anticipation of this possible outcome. So, what do you think? What's the wildest sentencing hearing you've ever heard about? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe.